And another great IM from Simgot. I don't know what happened with Simgot, but they are keeping releasing amazing IMs. And in fact, so far that I've ever tried, amongst Simgot IMs, this is my current favorite one. So hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for Simgot EM6L Phoenix. That is cost around $110 and using a single dynamic driver and 4 balance armature. And thank you for Simgot for providing me with this review unit, and just like usual, I will break down this review from the build, fit, frequency response, sound, and comparison. I really like how they look, even though they are simply resin with black glossy finishing on them, but I don't know why, but it feels it looks majestic for me at least. It looks really good. It looks quite expensive, and it feels good too in my hand. It feels really smooth, good finishing, and you get this little front hole around the faceplate here. But one thing that I don't really like is how they use the QDC Type C kind of connector. I would just prefer for them to use the usual 0.78 dual pin, just like usual. But the cable itself is fairly good in my hand. It's flexible and non-tangling and non-microphonic also. Now, ergonomics wise, for me this is not really ideal IM for me, because you could see here the nozzle itself is actually quite big and it doesn't have lips on it, so it doesn't really it will not be compatible for some of ear tips. And the ear tips that comes with it, the default stock tips, is just bad for me. I mean, you already know that the nozzle is big, and the ear tips that comes with it is also thick and stiff. Basically, I really couldn't wear their stock ear tips. My personal recommendation, or at least for my ears, it is much better to use SpinFit's PP145 here. It gives me much better isolation and also fit. It just happened to be that I have a really small ear, so the stock ear tips, the only one type that comes with it, doesn't really match my ears. And using the CP145 from SpinFit, it just feels amazing. I could wear them for hours without any complaint. Well, in terms of tonality, I would say this IM somehow kind of following Harman-ish target. So if you are familiar with those IMs, yes, it's again like that. You can feel the similarity here. There's a sub-bass boost, and after that the upper mid-range is kind of forward, but after that it's mostly a smooth but also engaging IM at the same time. Starting from the lower frequency, I just love this kind of bass because for me it just has a good amount of rumble and fullness on it. So I would say that this is a really all-rounder kind of bass. You can feel the fullness, you can feel the punch, you could feel the depth on it, and it's not really slow either. So for a lot of genres that I've tried in my playlist, it really fits a lot of music. Maybe it's not really well suited for bass head only. Sometimes I think bass head want more fuller mid bass coming from their IMs, but other than that, for me this is a really well-rounded bass. The upper mid-range here is more forward compared to the lower mid-range, so it does make some female vocal sounds more forward rather than the male vocal. Also, simply said, it emphasizes upper human voices, so then it sounds more forward than lower human voices, making this IM just a little bit thin for me in mid-range presentation. But it sounds so smooth. It's avoiding any kinds of big sibilance and also harshness. At least from what I have ever tried here, everything sounds so smooth but also detailed and still keeping its energy at the same time. Basically, I just love the mid-range. It's just a little bit thin for me. The treble is also amazing. It has a linearly extended treble, making everything sounds proper. It doesn't have this sudden dark drop in the frequency. It also have just enough sparkle on it, and you don't really miss a thing when you're listening to some percussion, some metallic ting 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 like that. It sounds properly extended without sounding harsh. Basically, I just love the tonality of this IM. It is smooth, it has still good power, good energy to make this non-boring IM. But it also sounds really cohesive even though it's using one dynamic driver and 4 balancer mature. And also, not only that, it's also have a good timbre. Well, not a lot of hybrid driver IMs have a good timbre. But at least for me, this one have a really good coherency. It sounds cohesive, it sounds smooth and natural at the same time. Now, in terms of technicality, for $100, I would say that the detail of this IM is actually really good. You could feel the layers on it. There's a good separation in a lot of busy tracks, but it doesn't jump out of you. You need to pay attention that this IM has its smooth signature overall, so it will not jump at you like the ones at least when I try to compare them with my Shure S12. The Shure S12 is one of the IM that for me jumps out at first and showing that I have a good technicality. This one doesn't really jump out at you at first, but the more you listen to it, the more you will realize it has a really good separation. You're hearing a good separating, there's a bass here, there's guitar here, there's vocalist here, and it's separated quite nicely. It never goes mixed together. And also the soundstage itself is also pretty nice. I feel that there's kind of three-dimensionality of it, even though it's not super wide or super tall. It does have a proper three-dimensionality on it, making soundtracks or movie soundtracks sounds still majestic. Now let's compare them with the other Simgot IMs, because I don't know, but there's a lot of you that requesting this comparison. Compared to the EW200 here, the Simgot EM6L Phoenix sounds different. Even though the frequency response is similar, but there's definitely a difference in how they sound when you listen to them at the same time. The Simgot EW200 feels more V-shaped, it feels more harsh, but also more energetic at the same time. While the EM6L Phoenix sounds more gentle, it sounds smoother, but also more resolving and more separated at the same time. I would say that EM6L is not like the exactly energetic upgrade from the EW200, but it is kind of a more refined version of it with better sound quality overall. Now, comparing them with one of the most popular IM around $100, the Truth Ear Hexa, it is in fact only $80. Well, personally, I never really liked the Truth Ear Hexa because the timbre sounds so light for me. It sounds more plasticky, more unnatural, but it does sound more neutral if you're looking for something that is more neutral. Well, Hexa sounds more neutral, while this one is more engaging with the vocal and also the bass. And also in terms of imaging and pinpointing some elements, I would say the Hexa is still a little bit better, but it's just that I cannot really like Hexa because it sounds lighter and it sounds more plasticky to me. It just doesn't sound as natural as this Simgot Phoenix. Personally, if you ask me which one I like, definitely the Simgot Phoenix. Now, comparing them with my other, I would say another favorite IM for around $100, and this is the Shure S12, the original one. I would say that I just really love them both. The one is more engaging, is more pop out, is more resolving, but also more fatiguing at the same time. It has a more exaggerated treble that could be feel as spicy for some people, but for me it's still in my tolerance level. It's just more engaging and more fun and more resolving overall. But I cannot lie that I also enjoy this EM6L for some genres, or even depends on my mood. So if I have around $200, I would say that this is the two that I will buy. I really cannot choose which one do I like better. It's just different and I just love them both, and currently these two are my current favorite. If I want but in terms of more all-rounderness or the smooth, which one is the smoother one, the Simgot EM6L is easier to listen to and it has better smoothness also. It's just the Shure S12 is just more engaging. So as an overall, I really love this Simgot EM6L Phoenix. I could really hear them all day without any complaint and enjoying all of my playlist here. It sounds smooth, it still has this engaging, energetic factor on it, especially around the upper mid-range and bass, but it sounds also really smooth and extended at the same time. What I don't really like about this Simgot EM6L is maybe about its build quality or build wise, because it's using a QDC Type-C connector here. Personally, not really a fan of that. And also it has this big nozzle that comes with this stiff and also big ear tips. That's all I could say about this time. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.